Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Desolation of Zion and Wealth of Babylon. And pretty much this video or lesson came to the inspiration of something I was listening to earlier. I was listening to, as you can see here, this is GMS Sound of Apocrypha. This is the brother Sayonara from the DC camp. And some years back, he did a series. This page goes back to 2012. I'm not sure if, let me see, 2012, 10 years ago. Yeah. So back in 2012, the brother took it upon himself to, read the Apocrypha, and he read the whole book of the Apocrypha, and it's online. So I put this site or this page in the description box for those of you that are interested. There's times you want to listen to the Apocrypha, you could. This brother did the whole book. And I started listening to the book of 2nd Ezra's from the first chapter. When they got to the third chapter, there was something in it that I noticed that kind of sparked an idea for a lesson. So I want to kind of touch on it because I think it would be edifying through the Spirit, and hopefully it is edifying. We'll get into it, but what you see here, this is International Bankers Control Global M Masters, okay? Because you never know with these algos if they're going to clip you for saying certain words. It says the Rockefeller and Morgan banking families are agents for the more powerful global Rothschild banking dynasty. Yeah, and what you have is international banking families that are ruling the planet. This is why in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created, or put into place and power. And pretty much from that point on, they started to get their tentacles on the earth. And then in 1945, the US dollar became the world reserve currency, and the rest is history. It says for 100 years, they used 12 media families who got super rich through it. All of them pro, as you see there, Z's, by the way. And it gives you a list, of some of these individuals, which it goes back to 1910. And there was 6 men that met up at a place called Jekyll Island to hash out all of the details for this new central bank, which pretty much that's all that the Fed is. It's a central bank. And this right here happens to be the Rothschild family, Meyer Amschel Rothschild, whose name used to be Bauer. Name Bauer meant peasant. He had 5 sons, and through these 5 sons, they took over the banking industries, in certain countries. And pretty much today they have the world. And I like to mention sometimes that Meyer Amschel Rothschild had 5 sons. When you read about Esau had 5 sons, so could it be a coincidence or not? Anyways, the scripture that I was dealing with or speaking about, or that I listened to that sparked this lesson, was here in 2nd Ezra's, the 3rd chapter. Let's read it. When we get to the 2nd verse, you'll understand why the name of the lesson is what it is. It says, in the 13th year after the ruin of the city, I was in Babylon. This is Ezra speaking. This is during the captivity of Babylon. And he says, and lay troubled upon my bed, and my thoughts came up over my heart. For I saw the desolation of Zion, meaning the destitute state of Yasha Allah back then, and the wealth of them that dwelt at Babylon. Now, this is talking about ancient Babylon, but you can update it to today. You know, today, this modern day Babylon, America has become wealthy off the backs of the Israelites, beginning with the 10 tribes that were already here. Then when they brought the other 3 tribes, majority of the other 3 tribes over here, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, that pretty much, you know, added more to the pot. All right, so that was pretty much the sentiment, was the wealth, the desolation of Zion, and the wealth of them that dwelt at Babylon. Babylon today being America, Babylon the Great. Now, Babylon was very wealthy. You know, this is why Nebuchadnezzar had the dream of the statue with the head of gold, and then the other inferior metals followed, because the other empires that followed after Nebuchadnezzar's empire, or Babylon, they weren't as powerful as the Babylonian Empire, financially, should I say, but they were more powerful militarily. Just like gold is more precious than any other metals, but it's not as sturdy or as strong as other inferior metals. So it went from gold to silver to brass to iron, and then part iron and part clay. Right now we're at the feet of it, at the 10 toes, the part iron, part clay, you know, in America, which is a representation of the feet also, and the, you know, the legs, which is all part of the ancient Roman Empire. All right, America is in that stead, and through America, the great Patsy, the international banking families, you know, pretty much gained the riches of the world. Once they got the 3rd central bank into power, which is the Federal Reserve, you know, and especially when they got the world reserve currency status. All right, so I just wanted to build off of that. And our desolation became the wealth of the world. And when you read Romans 11 chapter, where it says that when the Israelites that were in Israel fell, it became the riches of the world. That's not talking about actual physical riches. That's talking about the riches of the knowledge that fell upon the Israelite foreigners. Because we used to break it down like that back in the days. High Priest Ariel said that the riches in Romans 11 was talking about the world got rich when we fell. And that's not what that's talking about. And even in the same chapter, Romans 11, it breaks it down. You know, but building off of the wealth, we became desolate, they became wealthy. So Deuteronomy 28:43 says, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. You know, and this is why Jeremiah said, you know, I can't wait until you bring the day you said you were going to bring, Lord, and they become like unto us. So we do what's called trading places. They take the place of the pauper, of the slave, where they actually belong, and we take the place of the king and the prince of the world, where we belong. This, where we're at now, is a temporary thing because of what we did. It's an affliction. It's a punishment. Ecclesiastes 10:7, I have seen servants upon horses. Now, who are the servants? The Edomites. I was about to say Israelites, but it's not. I mean, right now we are playing the role of a servant. And it's no coincidence that there was a statue in front of that particular, I can never remember. I could never remember the name of that particular museum. This here you go right here, which they actually took this down already. All right, let's see how big this one is. This one might be a little too big, or it might not be big at all. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. You see Teddy Roosevelt, which is a servant, Edomite, up on a horse, right? And then you see what? And princes walking on as servants upon the earth. And what do you see here? You see a Judite, so-called Negro man, Judite, tribe of Judah. And then on the other side, you see what? Gadite, a so-called North American Indian man. And what are they doing? They're walking on the ground. They're servants. Meanwhile, this dude is sitting up on a horse, but he should be down here, and they should be on the horse. You see? And this right here, this is, the Lord made these devils do this to pretty much paint the image of what this scripture right here is saying. I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth. And they pretty much removed that already. You know? They say here the racist statue of Theodore Roosevelt. You know? It's an American Museum of Natural History. There you go. That was the name of the place. I can never remember the name of that place. But races, you could call it racist if you want, but this is something that actually happened. They had the so-called Negroes and the so-called Native American Indians, which is Judah and Gad, on reservation camps, on plantations, which is pretty much the same thing. All right? So according or pursuant to the curses, the stranger got up very high and we came down very low. And they became rich through us falling. You know, because that devil Christopher Columbus and the rest of those devils that came over here, they exploited these lands over here and took the riches. That's all they do. You know, even that devil Julius Caesar said, in English they say Vini Vidi Vici, but it's really Weenie Weedy Wiki. Weenie Weedy Wiki. I came, I saw, I conquered. And that's pretty much the sentiment of Esau. And that was the blessing that Isaac, Yahushua, gave to Esau. That through his sword, he would pretty much get the riches of the world. In so many words. And that's exactly what they've done. Through the power of that sword, which today would be the modern day gun, missiles, so on and so forth, they got the riches of the world. Because they couldn't deal with Gad on a one-to-one, hand-to-hand combat. Even there's I'm not sure where it's at, but there's accounts where they would be shooting at Gad, and Gad will roll up on him and dodge the bullets and come all the way up to him and kill him. So they couldn't handle Gad. That's why they had to hire the Buffalo Soldiers, which the Buffalo Soldiers came, which was Judah, and helped put down the rebellions of Gad. And it really wasn't a rebellion. It was more so a necessity of protecting themselves, you know, self-defense, you know. So eventually what happened was they invented something called the Gatling gun. And the Gatling gun did major damage, you know. And that's how they were, one of the reasons they were able to take Gad down. Because of Judah, Sambo, Tontos, and ultimately the Gatling gun, which was given to them by the Most High. Because the prophecy states, Gad, the troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. So it says, he shall lend to thee, as they're in a position to lend. That's why they are the bankers. And thou shalt not lend to him. We don't have a pot to piss in and a one to throw it out. Barely. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. You see? And this is portrayed perfectly here. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And there's no coincidence, they're behind the horse. This devil's up top, and, you know, by the head of the horse, and up top as the head, and they're behind as the tail. No coincidence. All right, so pretty much that's it on that. So now moving on, let's go to Psalm 73:1. A psalm of Asaph. Truly the Most High is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. And this is why we have to be born again. All right. to have a renewed sense of what it is that pleases the Most High. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It says, but as for me, my feet were almost gone. Yeah, because prior to the great awakening that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai caused upon Yasha Allah, our feet were almost gone because we were pretty much in a destitute state. Didn't know which way was up or down. Had no clue or idea anything that was going on. Then little certain subtle hints, and knowing deep down inside that something was wrong, but you just couldn't explain it. You couldn't put a finger on it. There was no understanding of it. So it's like when you in a bad situation and you have no solution for it, what sets in is hopelessness, depression, so on and so forth. And that's pretty much how we were. Then little hints started popping up here and there. In my case, you had an individual that he's teaching with another group now. He's no longer teaching with Great Millstone. His name is Gabarya. He was teaching us while we was out there in the world. Little subtle hints here and there, and then he gave me this cassette tape, which was the John Todd Confession. And as I'm listening to it and thinking about what's, about to happen and how these devils plan on taking over the world and pretty much putting everybody in a bad situation, I got nervous. And only thought in my mind is, where can I go for protection? And thought came into my mind, the school. So I called them up that week, and that Friday I was on the first thing smoking to New York, which was on a Friday after work. Went there, and that was it. Because that, this is our feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. Why? Because for I was envious at the foolish, because these devils are foolish, but they're in a position of power. They're in a position of authority. They've deceived the world since the Renaissance period. So everybody thinks that they are the righteous. Everybody thinks that the Most High looks like them, that Yahushua looks like them, that the angels look like them, that they are the Israelites, so on and so forth. Because this is the great deception that has been portrayed, through the world. It says, when I saw what? The prosperity of the wicked. Let's look up this word prosperity. The word prosperity is shalom, which means peace. And that because money brings peace. Not in all cases, but for the most part with them, they got the riches of the world. They have no need for anything. So they're at peace. They don't have any worries. The only worries they got is how to make more money, which they don't need. How to get this MOTB, which is the C-hip, pushed on the world so they can have everybody where they want them. They don't have worries like that. That's why they're at peace. Shalom, shalom. Completeness, right? Soundness, welfare, peace. Yeah, because with those riches, they were able to be at peace. But in the back of their mind, they know that they're going to have to pay for all of what they've done. This is why, like that devil David Rockefeller, he was scratching, and pawing and doing whatever he could to try to stay alive. That's why he would get all them different heart transplants and whatever the hell he was going, because he was trying to live, man. Because he didn't want to go face that big so-called black man up in the skies, in the upper room, in the suite by and by. And he knew that eventually he would have to go there. And eventually he did. And he found out what he already knew. When he went before this so-called black man up on the throne with a bully afro, with a big beard, and he's getting his judgment. You're coming back, you're going to be a slave, boy. You know, oh Lord, can you please send somebody back? If somebody came back from the dead, they'll believe him. The Lord said, no, they got Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. You know? So they have no want of anything. And then it says down here, right? It says soundness of body. Safety, soundness in body. Why? Because do you think that when these devils have a headache or some type of pain, that they're going to go to the emergency room and sit in the emergency room and wait for Dr. So-and-so, Edomite? How can I help you? Do you think they're going to go there, sit there, and find out, okay, well, you have so-and-so and such and such. You got to take, hypertension medication, or you got to take this medication, or Adderall, or whatever. They ain't doing that, man. They're going right to the herbalist. They're going right to the physicians, who they called quacks, so that they can make that money. The AMA is big business, man. Medical, just look it up. AMA. It's 3 letters. That's a representation of the American Medical Association. And pretty much that's how they make their money. One of their ways they make their money. So they don't go there. They're not taking pills for life. You go to the Rothschilds, to his mansion, and you go to use his bathroom, but you ain't gonna be using his bathroom. But I'm just painting a picture. And you open up his medicine chest, you ain't gonna see 50 different prescription pills, because they eat the best, they drink the best, and if they do get sick, they have the best physicians with the top-notch herbs that they take. So all of this prosperity that they have also gives them soundness in body. All right, so let's go back. It says, when I saw, so he was envious, and like we were at the foolish when he saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. Right, when's the last time you seen Edomites get gunned down in the street like that? Especially a Rothschild, a Rockefeller, if you even see that, it'll be a very rare occasion. They ain't in trouble like that. There ain't no bands in their death. They ain't looking over their shoulder thinking somebody gonna get them. Those are curses that are upon Jake. Them small hatters ain't rolling around their neighborhood like that, looking over their shoulder, getting gunned down by the police, shooting down each other. They ain't going through that. It says, but their strength is firm. Right, because they're prospering. They're in the top position. And unlike Jake, they don't go around acting like goons with each other. Whatever beef they have, they settle it behind closed doors. They are not in trouble as other men, and they are not in trouble. They don't go through the things that the average person goes through. The word there, trouble, is aimal. Oh, snap, check that out. Aimal, which is toil, trouble, labor. Trouble, mischief, toil, labor. All right? They don't go through the trouble or the labor or turmoil of being worried, being oppressed, depressed because of the condition they're living in. It says, neither are they plagued like other men. And they don't have the plagues that other men have. Why? Because they have the best of everything. They are the wicked that are prospering in the world. The word there is nagai. I've looked this word up before. To touch, reach, strike, stricken, be defeated. All right? They're not plagued like other men. They're not touched with the problems that other men have, because they have everything. Their eyes stand out with fatness. Why? Because they are wealthy. That's why, as the name of the lesson is, the desolation of Zion and wealth of Babylon. They have more than heart can wish. Come on, man. There's estimates out there that they're worth over 350 trillion, 400 trillion probably, or more. That's just what you hear about in the books. There's a saying that if money is God, the Rothschild is his prophet. Because they are disciples of money. And they get that money, as they say, by hook or by crook. They are corrupt, and that's exactly what they are, and speak wickedly concerning oppression, right? Because oppression is not something that the Most High likes. But they speak wickedly concerning it because they make it seem like it's okay. You know? They speak loftily, right? You see them, you ever see them devils being interviewed? They have this air about them. Like they are, like they're gods or something like that. They have this air like their shit don't stink. They act very loftily. Why? Because they are the wicked who prosper in the world. They set their mouth against the heavens. They talk all kind of stuff against the Most High. I was watching that movie the other night. It was on Black, what's it called? Black Hawk Down, right? I was catching some of it, and there was a scene in the movie where they were bringing back all of the wounded, and they had them in that the makeshift medical thing. They were all bleeding, legs missing, limbs, blood everywhere. And one of the top brass came in there, and he picked up something. He saw the blood. He started wiping the blood up, and I was looking at that, and I was like, man, all of these wars, all of these casualties, the shell shock and the missing limbs and the deaths and the miseries of all of these wars are because of these devils. And these devils are walking around healthy as a fucking ox. And the ones that are serving the Lord are sick as dogs. It's like it's not fair. But we understand that, that's the condition of the battle. And I was thinking, damn, man, the Most High got to get them, man. Let them these sicknesses and all, let it be on them, mother, Because they, like Asaph said, I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. And they prosper in many ways, not just financially, because they have access to everything. It says, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Yeah, and that's all they do. Talking all kinds of shit. That's why it says in Daniel the 7th chapter, speaks about the mouth of that little horn. Boasting great things or something along those lines. And that's all they do is talk shit. This is why the other European allies of America hate this place. Because the scriptures say that whose look was more stout than his fellows. Boasting great things. I mean, talking cash, money, dollar bill shit. Writing checks that their ass can't cash. Therefore, his people return hither. Right, because they're all over the planet. They're taking every goddamn thing. They come back, and what happened? And waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. They get every last nook and cranny, drop, everything. They have everything. And they say, how does the Most High know? Yeah, because in their mind, they're thinking the Most High is with them. Because the Most High hasn't judged them yet. As it says in that Psalms, the 50th chapter. You thought that I was altogether one as such and one as thyself. Because the Most High hasn't brought no serious calamity upon these devils. It says, and is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. And that's why, for I saw the desolation of Zion and the wealth of them that dwelt at Babylon. Now, like I said, this is dealing with ancient Babylon, but we could apply this today because America is Babylon the Great. And they're in that lofty, wealthy position. So it says, behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. And that's all they do. When you go to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, you know, they have more, you know, they're not satisfied. Here it is, you have more wealth than you can even possibly, you can never ever spend it in 100 lifetimes, but you still want more. And then it's not like you trading and investing and, you know, getting money the legal way. You ain't getting money, you know, because of your wits and your smarts. You're getting money off of the back and toil of the poor. You're draining the poor of whatever little resources they have, whatever crumbs they have, you taking that. God damn, you're the devil. That's why when Jake come up talking about the white man and the devils, look, man, just keep on going, keep on stepping, bro. You ain't ready for this. You know? Until some calamity happens, yeah, you know, you guys are right, man. Yeah, right, Like in that movie Geronimo, you had them Sambo Tontos, and once Esau got what they wanted them on reservations, guess what? Those Sambo Tontos also went on the reservation camp. They threw them in them carts, carrying them off to these concentration camps, you know, which they call reservations. And then he had the nerve to say, well, you know, you were right to hate the white man. No shit, Sherlock. You had no right to help them, but you did. So let's look up the word ungodly. The word there is rashai, which goes into the word wicked, which the word rai is wicked. Rashai is wicked, criminal, see? And they are criminals. It's no coincidence that they're red. And the word for crime, which is crimson, is red. Brother said, Elder, what is the difference between Esau and Amalek? Well, the only difference is there's no difference. They're both the same. They're both Edomites. But one of them is the grandfather, and the other one is either a grandson or great-grandson. When we go to Genesis 36. Because when you go back to the beginning in Genesis, before Esau was born, you have, among the Hamites, you also have a clan called the Amalekites. But those are not the Amalekites that the Lord is speaking about. The Amalekites that the Lord is speaking about that were going to be enemies to us forever are one of the descendants of Esau. We read Genesis 36:1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. So Esau's name was changed to Edom. Esau means wasted away is he. It's a compound word, Ishashwa or Ishaw. Edom was what his name was changed to, Adawam, which means red, right? It says Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Ada and the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibamah the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. And Ada bare to Esau Eliphaz. So Eliphaz was one of his sons. Esau had 5 sons, right? You can read through here, and it gives you all of the sons of Esau. There were 5 altogether, right? And Esau took wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and his beasts and all his substance which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. For their riches were more than they might dwell together. The same thing that happened with Abraham and Lot. And the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom, so Mount Seir is their actual land, the land of Edom. Okay. These are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. All right. You read through here. These are the sons of Esau. Now you got to read through here, and it gives you the different sons and their sons. Right. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son. And she bare Eliphaz Amalek. Okay. So Esau is the grandfather of Amalek. Amalek is the grandson of Esau. That's the only difference, but they're both the same. You know? And you could read on through here. This is the genealogy of Esau, which is interrupted by the genealogy of the Horites, which were Hamites that lived in the land of Esau and Mount Seir prior to Esau taking over that land. All right, so there's no difference, but that's the only difference, is that Esau is Esau, and he's the grandfather of Amalek. All right, and then we have a great enemy known as King Agag. And King Agag, which was an Amalekite, one of his descendants, which was Haman, when you read the book of Esther, he was also an Amalekite, the Agagite, which was a descendant of King Agag, which was an Amalekite. And they are like the top enemy of Israel. I'm not sure if that's Exodus 17. And there's no coincidence that they're the chief head of Esau. And you can read here, this is Exodus 17. This whole chapter goes into the wars that we had with Amalek. And in Exodus 17:16 says here, for he said, behold, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So even to this day, there's wars going on between Amalek and Jake. You know, there was an event that took place, I believe that was in the 90s, where this devil, this Amalekite, ran over a Jake in where's that? In Brooklyn. I can't remember the exact place in Brooklyn. And they wouldn't pick him up, you know, so there was a big uproar about that. So there's always been wars between Jake and Amalek, which are the Edomites. So hopefully, you know, that answered your question. But, you know, to get more research, you have to read through the genealogy and get more familiar with those Amalekites. All right, so going back to the ungodly, these are the criminals, which the word criminal or crime goes to the word crimson. And it's no coincidence that Esau is red. And through Esau, the world was pretty much robbed. You know, that's why the Lord said, when you cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when you cease to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. When we read Revelation 6 and 3, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse. Horse represents power. That was red. And this red horse is a representation of the Edomite nation. All right. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Why? Because they are the wicked. And that's what the wicked do. They take peace from the earth. Let's go real quick to Proverbs. 29 and 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So the people of the world as a whole today are not rejoicing. So that means that the righteous are not in authority. They're not in a position of power. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And the state of the earth today is in mourning. The earth itself is mourning. The animals, the trees, you know, vegetation, plant life, fish life, you know, everything, the birds, everything is mourning, especially, you know, people. So just based off of this scripture and the condition that the world is in, who's ruling, the righteous or the wicked? And the scriptures say that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. All right, so going back, it says, and power was given to them that sat there on to take peace from the earth, and that's exactly what they've done. And that they should kill one another. Right? You've had civil wars. You've had wars, Edomites killing Edomites. It says, and there was given unto him what? A great sword. Why was a great sword given to him? Because that goes back to the blessing that was given to Esau in Genesis, the 27th chapter. All right? And that's how they took peace from the earth, through their sword. And that's why they've subdued all the nations, taken their resources, their wealth, and everything. And they've been set up in a lofty position to where they have the one for nothing. Let's go real quick to Habakkuk. Chapter 2. I'm not gonna, you could read the whole chapter. The whole chapter is good. I just want to go straight to this one point. Verse 9, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house. To covet something is to want something that somebody else has. And what is the coveting that they did? The evil coveting was the world, people's riches, their resources, their women, their land. It says that he may set his nest on high, and that's why they did it, so that they can be in a prosperous place, which they are. They're in a prosperous place. Nobody's living like these devils. You see there's one place where they have, it's like a palace, a castle. That thing is pristine. None other than a Rothschild could live there. It says that he may be delivered from the power of evil, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to build. They're trying to withstand the things that are coming, because the reset, the so-called reset that they want to set up, comes with a lot of financial woes. And a lot of people are going to lose a lot of things, including them. They're going to lose certain riches, but they're so wealthy that they'll be able to withstand what's coming. All for the so-called greater good, that they believe in, for the great reset of being the MOTB, which is when you read Revelation 13:16 down, it tells you what the MOTB is. It's an acronym for those 4 words, which is the C hip. You take the C and you put it together with the hip, like a potato, and you get, you put the micro in front of it, and you get what it is. And that's pretty much what they want to do. Because once they get to that stage, then pretty much they got the world by the balls. It says, thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul, because they received the benefits of the world. So they are the ungodly, the criminals, the wicked, the guilty one. And when you read Malachi, the 1st chapter, it tells you who the wicked are. They're the Edomites. The Edomites are identified with the wicked. All right, so behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. Verily, I have cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocency. And it feels like that sometimes. We've said that before. We know it's not the case. But it seems like the closer we get to the Most High, the more we suffer. And the more wicked they are, the more they prosper. And you be like, damn, it seems like the Most High blesses the wicked. But that's not the case. See, we're going through what we're going through so that when the world is finally judged, the Lord may have mercy upon us, that we may escape the judgments of this world. You see? It says, for all the day long have I been plagued and chastened every morning. And that's on a regular. That's on a regular basis, baby. Why me? Oh Lord. It said, if I say I will speak. And then the thing is, being in that state, having this understanding, going through the things that we go through, if I say I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation of thy children. And Jake gets mad at you. Oh, what you talking about, man? No, the white man, he's all right, man. He ain't all so bad. You just got to forgive and forget. What you talking about? They get offended when you speak like that. So it's like, we spoke amongst ourselves, pretty much to the point where, it's like, it almost seems, like I said, we're just reasoning as men. It almost seems like the Lord wants to drive us to the borders of insanity. That's what it feels like sometimes. But that's all the purpose, because the Lord said he will not put more on a man that he can handle, that he can deal. He also said to subvert a man in his cause, the Lord approveth not. So this is all part of counting the cost. This is all a part of the condition of the battle. These are all things that you have to expect. It says that despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and rebuketh often. But goddamn if that shit don't hurt. Man, that shit, it feels like you're being twisted from the inside out. But this is all a part of the purging. No metal can become pure unless it's purged with fire. And if those metals could speak, they'd be like, God damn, hurry up. But that's all a part of it. That, like the brother just said right here, hold up. Brother said, Khan, don't seem like love when you're going through it. That's right. Be like, damn, does the Lord hate me? Did I do something? What did I do? Does he hate me? But the thing is, that's the condition of the battle. And this is why we've said for many years that, some brothers out there don't understand what they're involved in. And that's a part of counting the cost, knowing that you're going to go through these things, losses. Because it's one thing to go through, the loss of loved ones, your wife, your children, family members, jobs, different things of that nature. That's one beast. And that shit don't feel good. But then another thing is when you're going through different other chastisements, ailments and things of that nature. That's next level shit right there, man. That'll drive a man to the borders of insanity and back. But the Lord said he would make a way for us to deal with it. So it says, when I thought to know this, it was too painful for me. Yeah, because here it is. I'm mad at these motherfuckers. Then I'm telling my people that these motherfuckers ain't no goddamn good, and they getting mad at me. So that's why pretty much Jeremiah's attitude was, oh, fuck y'all then. And he started putting curses on Israel. Oh, why you guys putting curses on Israel? Yeah, shut the fuck up, man. Jeremiah put curses on Israel. King David put curses on Israel. The Apostle Paul put curses on Israel. What Bible are you guys reading? Huh? That fucking sweet, moist muffin spirit, Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here, man. Until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High, then understood I their end. Right, so now that the Lord brought us into the congregation, His sanctuary, we understand their end. So that's why they're prospering. That's why they're going through these things. That's why they living lovely. That's why they puffing at everybody. Because they think the Most High is with them because they haven't been judged. So it says, surely thou didst set them in slippery places. Thou castest them down into destruction, right? Because they can't escape their judgment. Because they've been suited and booted for that. Romans 9:22. They've been fitted for destruction. The wicked are set up for the day of wrath. Because they are the people of the Lord's curse. So it says, how are they brought into desolation as in a moment? They are utterly consumed with terrors. Because just imagine that. It's one thing you're going through all kind of hell, right? You make a left turn, hell. You make a right turn, hell. You do an about face, hell. You go underground, hell. You go above, hell. You're getting hit with hell every which way you turn. Right? Then all of a sudden, when you get up ahead at the fork and you make a turn at the fork, more hell. And guess what? By that time, you're numb to the pain. You're numb to that hell. But imagine living in a lofty situation, pampered, have everything, no one for nothing, never had to work a day in your life. You know, don't have a callus, don't have a bunion, nothing. And then all of a sudden go from that to hardcore slavery. That's in a moment, and they're going to be consumed, eaten up with terrors. Because the first ones of them devils, a taste of slavery, is going to be the international banking families, which are the kings, the nobles, and all of that. The ones in the lofty position. And they're going to have companions, the lofty among the Hamites, the lofty among the Elamites, the lofty among the Moabites, the lofty among the Ammonites, the lofty among the Ishmaelites, so on and so forth. So that's going to be some shit. And that's why they don't want to lose their shit. Because they know that once they lose their shit and they go down, that shit is over. Why do you think they made movies like Planet of the Apes, that whole series? You think that they would actually put so-called black actors playing the apes? In other words, not in ape costumes, but actual so-called blacks, Judites and all that, playing those roles of the ones in authority. You think that they would do that? No. That's why they had to put the apes there. Because they know by careful study in the prophecies, they know that eventually they're going to go down and the Israelites are going to come up. And they know that the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. They know this. As a dream, when one awaketh, so, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image. Yeah. Because the Lord is going to judge these devils. Thus my heart was grieved, and I was pricked in my reins. So foolish was I, and ignorant I was as a beast before thee. Right. And that's how we were, until we understood. All right, now let's go from there. Let's go. You can read the parable of the rich man, but I just want to read the first couple of verses, because this kind of lends credence, to the lesson. Because the lesson is the desolation of Zion and wealth of Babylon. In this case, Babylon the Great, America. All right, it says Luke 16:19. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. And you best better believe that these devils, you have these people that say, well, one of my shoes is worth $1,000. Yeah, well, one of the Rothschild socks is probably worth $10,000. So what you saying? Motherfuckers probably wear $3,000 drawers, but their insignia on it. Don't get into the belt or the Bell's Winky, the tie. You couldn't even afford the little, that goes inside of the pocket for the suit. Forgot what those things are called, that little handkerchief. They fared sumptuously every day. They don't have a bad day. They're clothed in purple. They be doing Indian burns. Inside joke. Eufreno, which is you is good, and freno is understanding, good understanding. Okay. To gladden, make joyful, right? So they they're happy every day. To be glad, to be merry, to rejoice. And of course, if you living like that, you goddamn right you'll be happy. Roger, he had his $300 glass shit. They got their $3 million glass shit. Which one do you prefer? I just take the Johnny Walker neat. Just joking. I'm just kidding. Salaka, just being a little dovish. All right, so it says there was a certain rich man that was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus. Now, the name Lazarus is synonymous with Eleazar. You know, the Most High, the power is our help. Which was laid at his gate full of swords, right? And these swords represent what? It represents well, there weren't 12 dukes. There were only 5. Well, actually, there were more. There were different ones, but you actually only had 5 sons of Esau. We used to teach it was 12, but they only had 5. But then you had other dukes, which were sons, you know, and grandsons, and so on and so forth. But Ishmael has 12 sons. So they're full of swords, meaning, you know, the curses, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Now that he's even calling the crumbs back. Moreover, the dogs, which are the other nations, came and licked his sores. Because here it is, whatever little Jake has, you got the different nations coming in and taking the little bit that Jake has, feeding them poison, fucking plastic rice, goddamn cat, rat, and dog on a bun, some goddamn, who knows what the fuck they giving you. They say it's chicken, but you don't know what the hell that is. Could be eating fake broccoli. Them motherfuckers, they make, you know, you should think back in the days you go to a Moabite store or whatever, you're getting better quality shit, man. Come on. Anyways, it says, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angel into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell, meaning in slavery, he lifted up his voice. And what does it mean that they died? It means that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Because the rich man died in this world, and the beggar, Lazarus, which is us, died also, because we left that proper state to get into the proper state, which is riches. And in hell or slavery, he, the rich man, lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and sees Lazarus afar off, Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Why? Because Lazarus, which is a representation of Israel, is the chosen seed that the Lord promised Abraham. And you can read the rest. All right. Let's get to Revelation 18:19. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, which is what? America, Babylon the Great, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. And just by a process of elimination, those people out there that teach that Babylon the Great is the Roman Catholic Church, ain't nobody getting rich off the goddamn Roman Catholic Church. Which ships are pulling up to the Roman Catholic Church and getting paid? Come on, man. So let's look up at a couple of these words. Let's look up the word rich, which is the word pluteo or plutos. Pluteo, plutizo, to be rich, to have abundance, the outward possessions. Metaphorically, to be richly supplied, is affluent in resources so that he can give blessings of salvation to all. That's going into spiritual, but carnal would be the outward possessions, to have abundance. And it says down here that the nations were made rich by reason of her costliness. And that's what you have to understand about these commodities that are sold in the stock market throughout America. They are costly. And you might say, well, I mean, you got the dollar stores. They sell things for $1. They sell things for $2, $3, $5. You know, you got your Five and Belows. You got different stores like that. But how much do you think it costs them to make it? If they sell it for $1, it only costs them maybe 1 cent, maybe 2 cents to make. So that's a big turnover. That's costly. As opposed to it costing you $2 to make, and you could only sell it for $1. So costliness is the word timotheos. Timiotes, preciousness, costliness, and abundance of costly things, metaphorically worth, excellence, expensiveness. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay. All right, so they were made rich by reason of her costliness. Why? Because they done robbed the whole entire planet. Now, there was another verse here that I had wanted to look into. Right. Revelation 18:9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Let's look up this word deliciously. The word there is straniao, to be wanton, to be luxurious, right? Because when you have the world's goods, you're wanton or undisciplined because you have more than heart could wish. So you could splurge. You can splurge. You know? Living deliciously. Yep. And the brother put the verse 7. Let's go to verse 7. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. That's why it says that even after the destruction, these devils are not going to repent. They're not going to repent of their thefts, their murders, their worshiping of devils. Because they're thinking that it's going to be business as usual, that they're going to get right back on that high horse. They think they're going to get right back on that high horse and start all over again. But no, sir. You're going down. James 5:1, go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. It says your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire, because your whole dreams, your whole system is going to go up in fire. You have heaped treasures together for the last days, and pretty much you're going to be howling for your miseries that shall come upon you. That's why Lazarus told Abraham, the rich man told Abraham, have Lazarus dip his thumb in the water. Just put a drop of water on my tongue, man. Cool it off a little bit. God damn. Because they're going to be going through it, man. They're going to be going through it. So with that, this has been the desolation of Zion and the wealth of Babylon. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom.